Hey everybody, I'm Lev. I work at Dagger. I've been as a solutions engineer, so I've met a lot of you already. But today I'm going to talk about multi-channel notifications with Dagger. So a couple of weeks ago, one of my colleagues, Gerhard, did this amazing demo at a community call with this Notify module that allows you to send notifications to Discord and now Slack as a part of your Dagger pipeline. And it's awesome. It's a really great module. We actually have a lot of people using this now, like in production environments, which is incredible. I was really motivated by this because there's a product called Novu, which I've been using for a little bit, that allows you to do this and then more. So if you think about this, this module is great because it allows you, it's very easy to send messages to Discord. But if you wanted to start sending emails, in-app notifications, text messages, Microsoft Teams, etc., you could go like continue to add functionality to a module like this, or make general purpose modules for those providers, and that might be a great option if you only need to send a message to one of those. But in situations where you might want to send messages to multiple providers based on complex logic, Novu is a really great solution for that. So Novu is essentially this open source service that allows you to manage in a centralized place uh, your notification infrastructure. So Novu allows you to, with a single API call, notify an infinite number of channels. It's actually they support in-app notifications, email, chat, including Discord, Slack, and Teams, push notifications, and SMS. They also provide like an in-app widget, which is an open source kind of React component that you can just insert into your application and basically have notifications out of the box. It's a really great service, especially if you need to manage multiple channels in one place. So taking the inspiration from Gerhard and combining it with the Novu service, I've written a Novu module. And a Novu Dagger module is essentially a wrapper around the Novu Go SDK that allows you to essentially just make API calls from a Dagger pipeline using some of our lovely kind of Dagger native capabilities, which includes, of course, calling this directly from a CLI or calling it from Go, Python, TypeScript. And then, of course, more SDKs to come in the future. I think this module in particular is a really great example of creating Dagger modules that don't actually do Dagger specific code, but still provide some valuable service. So if you inspect the actual code of this module, we're not doing anything like Dagger related necessarily. It's accepting inputs of the API requirements from the Novu API and then returning just like a string output that says, here's the message that was sent. But because I've wrapped it in a Dagger module and have published it to the Daggerverse, I can take advantage of this implementation in any other Dagger supported language, and I can essentially call the Novu API from a command line without having to install any dependencies whatsoever. So I'm going to show you all that in action. So within my Novu instance, I have this workflow set up, which is called the Dagger notification workflow. And this is a little bit contrived because you probably wouldn't ever actually want to send somebody like a message on every channel at the same time. Normally you'll have logic, like if somebody's been online recently, send them an in-app notification versus Slack versus Teams, or your customers or your users might have their own preferences, right? So Novu allows you to manage their preferences. So a person might say, don't ever send me emails, only ever send me texts. You don't have to manage that through code. You can just essentially like offload all that logic to Novu and create these workflows. So this workflow is the most basic version where basically when it's called, it just sends out a notification to all the places, just to illustrate kind of how that works. So looking at the CLI example first, I have this Novu module published out into the Daggerverse, so I can inspect it and kind of get a sense of how it actually works, and just to illustrate kind of how to explore this API. So this particular module takes these 4 parameters, and these are all kind of Novu specific things. There's like an event ID, the message I want to send, subscriber ID, and then of course my API token. So I have uh, a pre-typed version of that here. And we'll just say hello from the Dagger community call. And this will fire off the notification through the Dagger engine. And now if I look here, I'll see I got a text message via Twilio. I have a Slack message from Slack. I have a Discord message from Discord. And last but not least, I have, oops, I don't want to share that. Last but not least, I have an email, or I should have an email from Dagger. And this template and all that stuff is actually also built into Novu. So it's really easy to kind of design really nice looking emails. So that's pretty cool. And I can also, like we just did it through the SDK, and that's really cool. I could also, of course, do it through, I'm so sorry. We did it through the CLI, and that's cool. But I could also use it through the SDK. So this is just another example of that. This one might be a little bit more kind of realistic, but ultimately, this is using a different module I recently wrote. So I have this module called Cloud Utils that only does one thing so far, but it returns a Dagger Cloud trace URL. So if you've used the new traces functionality, this just shows you the current running build's trace ID. And basically, as a part of my CI process, I'll have this this function get called trace notify, and what it'll do is just send me the URL where the trace is running, so I can go inspect that. So we can call that here as well, Dagger call trace notify, and it just takes one parameter, which is the Novu token. And again, the one thing I want to illustrate here is notice how I'm essentially calling a module that's written in Go that's implementing a Go SDK from a Python application. So I don't need to go rewrite the Novu module in Python. I could just call it directly from this other Python pipeline. And now we'll see that all the same channels were notified, but now I have this lovely Dagger Cloud trace. And when I click on it in the right browser, it takes me to the place where that trace ran. So that's what I wanted to show today. Check out Novu, check out this module, and happy notifying with Dagger.